Can you see me? But I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah,
Okay, awesome.
I can hear you.
I can hear you and see you. And so I think I have this figured out. So we are live streaming on YouTube.
But now,
Okay, awesome.
I can hear you.
I can hear you and see you. And so I think I have this figured out. So we are live streaming on YouTube. I have to figure out how to do this. Okay, now let's try. Can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Okay, so what I had to do because I have the live stream up and there's a delay,
Yeah.
so it's going to repeat everything as we go on the thing here. So, okay, I'm going to take a minute and repost a link to social media because it uploaded or it started a new chat on a new link. So I'm just going to pop over to Facebook and post that real quick.
Okay.
This first time stuff is so much fun. All right, let me switch over. Okay, and give me one more second. So hopefully next time I go with one of these lives, we will get things set up a bit smoother. Let me just send this out so everyone knows where the right spot is. Okay, the link is set and we're updated, so we'll see if we get anyone that shows, but at least this will be recorded and it'll be live and anyone can rewatch anything. So, welcome everybody. This is our live chat and we're going to be discussing Nepal and Tibet and overlanding and all of the fun things that are going to happen on our trip. So, first off, if you don't know me, I'm Sarah. I'm the founder of Blue Side Adventures. And with me today, I have Autumn, and she is our newest Blue Side Adventure assistant trek leader. So, welcome, Autumn. I'll give you a second to say hello to everybody and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name's Autumn. I am a nurse medic. I have been for 15 years, mostly ER, also 4 years in a medevac. I went on the Nepal trip last year and fell in love with the people and of course the mountains and Sarah and all our guides, and I'm happy to be returning.
Yay! Thank you so much for like being able to do this. And it's like having somebody who's medically trained is such a huge asset for us because I mean, we everything, the guides that we have are medical trained, and I'm a wilderness first responder, but like, to have someone that like does emergency medicine, that's awesome and a huge bonus for us. So I am so glad to have you on the team with us. So I am going to share my screen and I'm going to put the itinerary up and we're just going to kind of walk through it. And any questions that pop up, I'll just check the chat, every so often here to see if we have any live questions or anybody that is live. And then we'll just go through it. So I have the Nepal and Tibet um, itinerary up right now. Just going to take a look to make sure that's all showing on YouTube. Yep, it is. So that's awesome. Okay, so back home, Nepal and Tibet. So I've changed all of my adventures to basically the name back home. And the reason I did that is because what we do here at Blue Side Adventures is we're not just a retreat or, we do go to amazing places, but the whole aspect of what we want to do with Blue Side Adventures is really work on our health and well-being. And we do that before we go to Nepal through a 12-week online journey. And then when you come back home after that journey, the whole idea is that, you've incorporated this wellness and inspiration and use that in your daily life so that you come home and you are living a much more balanced life. So that's why we kind of have that here. So back home, Nepal and Tibet. So if you join this team, we'll just be calling you Team Tibet from here on out. We've got 15 days in Nepal and Tibet, and we're going to do yoga, we're going to do meditation. It's a really deep dive into culture, and it's going to be amazing. And here's the thing, there's no real trekking on this. I've had some requests, like, hey, I don't want to do a multi-day trek or be on the trail for forever. And here's the answer to that. So it's a vehicle overlanding. So those that aren't familiar with that term, we are going to be in like land cruisers or something similar to that, and we'll be going from Kathmandu all the way into Tibet, and making these amazing stops along the way. So the dates are November 1st through the 15th of this year. I've got 10 spots available on the team, and then your investment into yourself for this is $4,500. So two big countries, a ton of things that you'll have access to before you even get there. And that's just a really, really reasonable investment for this kind of trip. So as we go into our adventure itinerary here, this is just the overview that you see. So we'll go through each of these day by day. Of course, you can download this. It's on the website, so you can, go through yourself and really get a deep dive and look into it. But the first day is you arrive in Nepal. And that is a pretty easy day. It's just getting there, it's getting to the hotel. And then we have a welcome dinner that night. So Autumn, do you remember the welcome dinner?
Fun. It was very
Yeah.
I liked it because you got to try a lot of different kinds of food, and the servers explained things to you, and you got to take a really nice walk through the streets of Kathmandu that were very full of life and people and smells and sounds, and a nice, easy way to start dipping a toe into Nepalese culture.
Yeah, that whole I love that dinner and it's fun and usually we get up and dance. Not everybody, but it's a fun time for everyone there. So then the second day is a sightseeing tour in Kathmandu. So we kind of just jump into everything culturally when we get there. So the sightseeing for that are just some different cultural World Heritage sites located through the Kathmandu Valley. And so we go to see a couple of Hindu temples. We see the Buddhanath Stupa, which is that one that I have pictured there. And it's really amazing. And then I think one of the most fun days or fun like sections of that day is we go to the monkey temple. And like literally see all these monkeys around. So this day, Autumn, is the same one that you did last year. So like, do you have a highlight from that day that
I feel like this day was a lot of fun. One, the guide was very good with giving an appropriate amount of culture and background without oversaturating you with history information. Now, I am a nerd and I really like the background, and I really like that he would tie it in with, this is so old and this is what it's used for, and these are the other cultural things that are still practiced in this area. So I really liked that he was able to answer like a lot of questions. Also, very open to me yammering away about other random cultural questions of just being curious of a new land.
yeah, that was he is so Deepak is the name of the guide for that and he is so wonderful and I keep requesting him. So I am requesting again this year that we have him for all of our cultural excursions and then fingers crossed, but hopefully we can get him to be with us on the Tibet part too. So that would be that would be great to have him
And the monkey
there.
temple is hands down one of the best things to do in Kathmandu. I'm really excited about going back because you get to see all these monkeys interact with humans in their natural setting, interact with each other, and it's just a very playful and fun experience.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that we're going back to check that out again this year. Okay, so the next day is another day of exploring around the Kathmandu Valley. So we're going to go to Bhaktapur and Patan. And having been in Nepal, this will be my fourth year going. It's like each time I go to these different places, I kind of fall in love with Kathmandu and Nepal a little bit more. And Patan is such an amazing spot and I'm really excited to go back there. That's where I met my sound healer from there, and we're gonna try to set up a private sound healing session for us during this tour. But it's just really, really cool spot. So I'm glad that we're going back there. So again, day three is going to be some more UNESCO World Heritage sites, and just enjoying the city and seeing more of, the cultural life and everything else that happens in Nepal. I mean, it's a lot. Like if you're not familiar with Nepal or haven't been there before, it's the culture is absolutely beautiful, but it's so different from what we are used to in the United States. So it does take a couple of days to be like, all right, let me get my bearings, let me see how everything is. Um, but yeah, so the first 3 days are pretty tour heavy in Kathmandu. Um, Day four is really a down day in Kathmandu. So you can do whatever you want. And Autumn, I love that you're on this trip because tell us about like you stayed in Nepal a bit after your trip and you found like fun things to do in Kathmandu. So you're like the perfect guide for suggestions for this down day.
Yeah, I wandered a lot in Kathmandu by myself. I stayed a couple extra days just because it's how flights and everything worked out. I came a little early because I went to India by myself and then continued on. So I found a lot of nice coffee shops, yoga studios, sound healing, different street vendors, and wandered quite a bit. So it'll be fun to share with you guys some places I found that I really like and I'm excited about going back to. And the massage options are endless and wonderful in Kathmandu. So I'm excited to frequent some of those places again too.
I am so happy you mentioned that because like in the hotel that we stay in, literally around the corner, um,
So
there's a massage parlor there and they're so good. And they do this like pre-trek massage that's like 90 minutes. It's super cheap. And they do just such an amazing job. So yeah, I'm definitely hitting up the spa on that day.
probably a couple times. Probably a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, so we can help you on this down day. You know, sometimes after all of that international travel and a few days of like really heavy tours, sometimes you're like, okay, maybe I just want to like go to a garden and read a book. But there's so many things that you can do, and we can definitely get you on the right track for that day, for whatever you want to do. Oh, and I had to put a picture of my favorite food there, momos.
Hmm.
Uh, those are like dumplings, and they come either steamed or fried or like this combination of both. And I think that I ate momos like almost every single day there. So,
Yeah. Yes.
okay, so day 5. So your first 4 days are all Nepal, checking out Kathmandu, just really enjoying that cultural aspect of Nepal. And so the next day we start our journey to go to Tibet. So we'll do a drive, and we'll get some really beautiful mountain views. We'll go all the way to the Nepalese border. And on these trips, like it's going to be a lot of car time. So when you see the 6 to 7 hours drive, I always tell our teams like you need to go in with this mindset of it's Nepal. And so things could go perfectly, or the 6 to 7 hour drive could be a 8 or 9 hour drive. Like it just kind of like the whole mindset of while you're there is like, okay, I'm just here literally along for the ride, and whatever happens happens. That's part of it. So yeah, so of course it's a driving trip, so we're going to be doing a lot of driving. But we make stops along the way. We'll stop for lunch, we'll stop for, bathroom breaks and all that kind of good stuff. So it's not one of those like we get in the car and it's just powerhouse thing to try to get to the next stop. We're going to enjoy uh things along the way.
A fun,
um
a fun road trip. We're not going to like make you stay in and not do anything. We'll get out and be silly and stretch and have a nice time, take a lot of photos of pretty things, grab some snacks, all the good things.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So the one thing that I want to note, our accommodations are going to be kind of a combination of guest houses and hotels. And so a guest house may be similar to like a tea house where it's just kind of a central area for eating and dining and tea and all that kind of stuff. And then the rooms will be just, like shared rooms. It'll be a general like shared bathroom for the place. So it's not like crazy, crazy rustic, but just the range of where we will stay is something like that guest house. And then there will also be hotels that we stay in too. So I just want to make sure that we're not camping or anything like that. You'll always have a roof over your head at night. So day 6, again, more driving. And that one, we're going to go to the highest plateau in the world. We're going to see the Himalayan ranges. And if you're a mountain junkie, we're going to start to see some of the world's highest peaks, and the really famous ones like Cho'oyo. I cannot even begin to pronounce the other one right now, but it's on the itinerary and it looks awesome. So that one, um, again, more views, more mountains, more outside, more culture, all of the stuff. So that's day 5. I'm sorry, day 6. Day 7 is what I am looking forward to most. Because I'm a Mount Everest junkie, and we are going to Everest Base Camp from the Tibet side, which is kind of like when we think of doing our Mount Everest Base Camp treks, it's the trek like through Nepal up to base camp on that side. Tibet base camp you can actually drive to. So we're going to go there. And it's kind of a shorter day drive too. So Autumn, you got any thoughts on?
I think this is like a double really good opportunity. One, if you tell people you're going to Nepal or Tibet, the first question is, are you going to base camp? Are you going to base camp? Are you going to go to base camp? So I think this is a great opportunity where yes, you should be in shape, and yes, we're going to be at high altitude, but this gives a lot of people a better opportunity to experience base camp that perhaps you wouldn't have. And the logistics are taken care of. Your car, your visa, all these things to go to Tibet and to go to base camp would really not be possible if you were on this kind of trip. So it helps make it easier, less stressful for people. And then we get to wander around. You get to do a little hike at Everest Base Camp if you want. And if you decide at that time, maybe that's not what my body needs, I want to sip coffee and just admire the view, that's okay too. So you don't have to choose until we get there and listen to what your body says.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. It's funny. So you all will meet Keshev when you get to Nepal, and Keshev's my business partner there. And when he and I were putting together this trip for this year, he just did this trip. So he had like all the great information. So he was telling me about this day, but he he got there and he was like, "Yeah, I was tired. I didn't feel like actually doing the hike." So he ended up like walking halfway and then hitching a ride back with somebody else. Like it just was, but yeah, it's like, all right, well, if you want to do it that day, do it that day. If you're not feeling it, just enjoy the views, chill out, and see what it feels like to be at almost 17,000 feet, which is a big deal on the body. So it'll be a good challenge for that day. So that picture there, there's a little picture of leading up to Everest Base Camp. So then the next day, day 8, is another really big day of driving. Um, and then more views of Mount Everest, which is going to be fantastic. And then we go along one of the highest passes, and we continue on our way to Lhotse. And then monasteries are going to be included on that. So again, another really big cultural day. And being able to just enjoy this area of the world that not many people go to or see. Day 9 is another decent drive, 6 hours. And then we're going to take you to go visit the Sakya Monastery. And big piece of Tibetan Buddhism for this area. So then we will continue on. So once we get there, pretty chill day. Day 10, so a short drive day, which I'm sure we'll all appreciate by that day. So a 2-hour drive will probably feel like nothing after we've been in the car for that long. But that morning begins with a trip to the monastery and then a 2-hour drive. Um, Again, seeing stupas and Tibetan Buddhist cultural sites, like it is going to be a pretty fantastic day. And all of these pictures that I included in this itinerary are like ones that I've found from the area. So we should be seeing some pretty amazing sights here. Day 11. So another long drive. And we'll be going through 2 passes. We'll see Turquoise Lake. Probably just amazing views that day, and it'll just be time for us to just kind of, take a day in the car and relax and get ready for more things. Day 12, the Forbidden City, which I am so excited to see. So we go to Lhasa, and if you've done any reading or seen, stuff on this, it's called the Forbidden City of Tibet. And it's the summer palace of the Dalai Lama. And it's just one of those things that I feel like you've only seen in pictures, and we're going to be able to like be face to face with it. So I've been talking a lot. Autumn, do you have any things to add over the
I think
past days?
one thing about the monasteries, which I didn't realize when we got to experience a few in Nepal, is how full of artwork they are. I was thinking that these are, big old stone structures that are neat to see without realizing these beautiful paintings in bright colors that are so expressive that you can just stare at. And it's a great opportunity to not only get to experience the culture of Buddhism, but to experience some of the artwork that's very, very old. That's very interesting as well.
Yeah, that is a great point because I was surprised too the first time I went because I'm like, I thought this was going to be just very kind of like somber almost.
Yeah.
And the colors, I'm like, I actually got so inspired. I was like, I need to not be afraid to do like anything in color with my house or crazy. Like, it's so beautiful.
It, it is, and it's, it's aged so well, and then it's very interesting to see how they touch things up and make sure that the artwork stays pristine. So it's kind of a art history as well as a religious experience that you get to have.
Yeah, yeah, that is such a great point with all that. Okay, so day 13, Potala Palace. This is like the Tibetan thing besides Mount Everest. Like, so we have 2 days in Lhasa, which is pretty awesome. So it's a day of no driving, and you just get to hang out and go to Portala Palace, and just explore the area and explore the beauty of this area and see the culture and food and coffees and all that kind of good stuff. So it's going to be a really chill day for that. The next day is a departure from Lhasa to Kathmandu. So we will be flying back. That was something that was really important that I wanted to have. Um, because we were probably really tired by cars by then. So like once we get to Lhasa, it's like that's the end of the driving. We'll do a flight back to Kathmandu, and that we'll have our farewell dinner in Kathmandu, and really that's it. And then you're free to depart the next day and, schedule your departure date, which would be the 15th of November. So we can always add on things if you want to stay in Nepal longer, or, if you have time that day, but your transportation to the airport is included. And we can add extra hotel days and anything like that for the end of your trip, and even on the beginning if you want to come a few days early. So that's the itinerary. Anything that you want to add extra before I go into other things, Autumn?
The hotel in Kathmandu is very nice and it's very centrally located. So if anybody has questions about like what does it come with versus an American hotel or this, that, and the other, and I stayed at a different hotel on my last trip. I had come and gone into Nepal, so I have a little bit of other experience. But it's very clean and very nice, and the breakfast is overwhelmingly good with many choices. So I think it's a good place to start and to end a trip and get a good experience of Kathmandu.
Yeah, and this something about the hotel. This was after your group left, but it's like they watch out for you there too. Not in like a creepy sense, but it's like a family sort of scene. And so one day, this was before my last group got there, but I got really sick and I wasn't coming down for breakfast. And they actually called my room. They're like, Sarah, you're gonna miss breakfast. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just so nice of them to be like,
Yeah.
we didn't see you today. So
They were super nice. Every day I went running and they were like, "Good job." Or, "Are you going running now? Are you going to yoga class? You're coming back for breakfast?" I'm like, as a solo traveler, it's kind of nice to have a very personal touch with the hotel that the people are so friendly. This is a perfect reflection of Nepal.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, I can't wait to get back there. All right, so let's talk about the fine print stuff because I want everyone to be familiar with what's included. So your arrival and departure transfer, we pick you up from the airport and we take you back, and that's for your arrival and departure from Kathmandu. So you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to get to the hotel or anything like that. The hotel accommodations that we have in Kathmandu and on the trip are twin accommodations. Um, and that's included in the price. If you are someone that needs a single room or needs single accommodations, we can do that for you. Just get in touch with me and we can calculate that price. But everything is based on shared accommodations. Your Tibet travel permit is included with the price, and the Chinese visa fee is included. And I want to add a little bit of a note with that because we do have a lot of military that want to do these trips. You need to check with your job, with your security officer, and make sure that you can travel to China, because technically Tibet is under Chinese control. So please do the due diligence to make sure that there's nothing that's going to get you jammed up with your job or anything with having a Chinese visa in your passport. So just make sure you've checked that out. Um, the Northern Base Camp permits are covered. Your Kathmandu travel, the vehicle, like everything's taken care of with that. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, no AC in our Land Cruiser,
Yep.
but you don't need it. Yeah.
You're in the mountains, pretty crisp and a little damp, so I don't think you will need air conditioning.
Yeah. But I just want to throw that out there in case you're like, I need, if you need AC, this is may not be your trip. So all the accommodations in Tibet, again, twin sharing basis in the hotels and in the guest houses. Your flight from Lhasa back to Kathmandu is included. We will have a guide the entire time, so his price is covered for. We'll go over tips at another time, but we do tip our guides. Um, but the cost of the guide is covered with this. Sightseeing fees, monument fees, all that kind of stuff is covered. Taxes and everything that's in Nepal are covered. When you come on this trip, you get an adventure workbook, which is your itinerary and your, I have journal questions and all that kind of fun stuff so you can remember your trip. You get a advanced adventures duffel bag to pack all your stuff in. You get a mala and an eco-friendly handmade Nepali yoga mat. So, Autumn, what do you think? You got all that stuff last year. What did you think?
Yeah, it was really nice to have those items. I've used the mala beads for other activities. I had surgery, so they were nice to take, as well as they're very pretty, so you can wear them as jewelry as well. And the bags were super nice too. They're like water resistant. They're super, super great. A lot of carriers, if you're flying into Kathmandu, you automatically can check two bags. So it's nice to have this extra bag when you're returning in case you buy a few items that are very, very nice. The Nepalese conversion from American dollar is very, very good. And textiles are cheap and well made. So you will think that you're not going to buy a lot of things, and you may be incorrect like I was. So you were glad that you had a second bag to bring things back with. And it's super easy to spot when you are flying back because it was a nice bright color. So you knew it was your bag, not 17 other black bags that look the same.
Yeah. So to explain on why we do the bags. So what happens when you travel to Nepal, you'll have your own suitcase. And then you will take whatever you need for your journey and you'll put it in that duffel bag that we give you, which is yours to keep, by the way. It's not a rental, like that's yours. Um, and then you leave your suitcase at the hotel with stuff that you don't need. And then the adventure bag, it's just easier to pack in the vehicles. And so everything's uniform. So that's why we do that stuff. Plus they're just super cool. So,
Well, they
um,
it makes it easier for everybody who's carrying our stuff to be able to stack them and plan accordingly, I'd say.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so the other things that you get, which kind of set Blue Side Adventures apart from everybody else or other vacations or other retreats is you have access to the online back home journey, which is a 12-week neuroscience journey reset to help you understand your own nervous system, help you develop positive habits in your life and kind of do like a deep dive of where you are and where you want to go. So we do goal setting. We talk about like the power of how journaling can help with things. It's very personal for you. I teach different meditation techniques so that you can find which one works best. So that's really kind of the whole thing that we are different from with the rest of just going on a trip or a retreat. With that we do once a month before, so about 6 months before we start our journey, we go online together in the community and just have a live chat to make sure that the back home journey is going good for you, and then also that you are uh, getting prepared enough for the trip. So we talk about, things that you need to do to get ready. So your plane tickets and your insurance and all the other kind of stuff. So that's all part of that. And the Back Home Tibet online community is where we meet and we talk about all that stuff. You also get the Mountain Athlete 16-week physical fitness program. And so even though we aren't doing a lot of hiking, you're still going on an amazing trip. So I would love for like this whole prep to get in shape and We do yoga in that 16-week program. We do mobility, flexibility, strength, and then I have a walking program for you that you start basically from 1 mile, and you can finish your journey with a 10-mile trek that you've worked up to. So that's included with this. Um, Also not listed there, but I have a pre-adventure planning series, and that's also another online access program. And that just kind of helps with like month by month as you're getting ready of things that need to happen. So like plane ticket purchases, scheduling your travel medicine doctor, and which medications you should have and that kind of stuff. So we help you out the entire way. Um, Autumn, anything you want to add before I go to the next section?
So I feel like one thing different with Blue Side, I am a very particular, meticulous planner. A little, maybe a little too much. And this program is super helpful because you were able to answer a lot of questions before I had to ask them. You had a packing list, you had a gear reference. So I thought that was very helpful. And I also live at sea level. So being able to train for higher altitudes, even if I'm not running on the mountains, made it very enjoyable that I was felt prepared, that I knew my body was in correct shape. And also it helps a little motivation as we go into summer that you can create a routine if you don't already have one.
Exactly. Like I do I do this own program myself to get ready, which is why I know it works. But I'm like, okay, I need to like start jumping on this program again for our fall trips, and I'm excited to have everyone there and our new teams there for it. So cool. So okay, let's talk about what's not included. Nepal visa fees. Depending on how long you're going to be in Nepal, you pay that money in cash on arrival. It's anywhere between, I think, about $30 to $50. I will give you those specifics once we have our teams formed and we're at that point of the process, but I just want to be, straightforward with things that aren't included. International travel to and from your home country to Kathmandu. I can help you with finding best routes and, which airlines that I've really liked. Also things that can get you in trouble if you have a layover in India. Um, and I say that as a joke because I almost got arrested for carrying a GPS with me. So I can help you advise you on routes not to take, but just so you know that is not included. Um, your travel insurance. So you have to have rescue travel insurance to go with us, and that benefits it covers everybody, trust me. Um, because we are going above 15,000 feet, you need to have the high altitude package in there. I will talk about all of that in depth in our pre-planning, but I just wanted to give you that idea. Blue Side Adventures is also a partner with Global Rescue, and we are that is a travel insurance company. So they know exactly what we do on our trips and they know what we need. So I do have a link that can get you to Global Rescue once we get to that point. It's not required to use them, but it's an easy win because they have everything that we need to do this trip. Meals other than breakfast in Tibet. So, most of the places that we stay will have your breakfast included, but while we're out on the road and while we're, in different towns for the evening meal, you pay your way as you go. It's not very expensive. The meals are really cheap there, but there's no way that we can cover the wide range of what, you may or may not order to include that in the price. So, just so you know, breakfast included is included. Lunch and dinner are on you for most days. Um, Personal tips. So, like I mentioned before, we do tip our guides because they're just amazing people, and a lot of them make most of their money from tips. And I have a guide that I will give you on what we should tip versus like where we go, what it looks like. I just give you a little cheat sheet on that, but personal tips are not included. And then, of course, any additional expenses due to unforeseen circumstances. So have access to a little bit of extra cash because you're at the other side of the world, so you never know what is going to happen. Um, Autumn, any ideas or tips on that kind of stuff?
No. Once again, the Nepalese rupee goes very far. So plan accordingly. Like I brought a couple extra zippered compartments and just switched American dollars to Nepalese rupees right in the airport. It made it super easy. Yes, there's ATMs. You can go to that. Not a big deal. But it's easy just to do right at the airport. Your exchange rate's great. They're not price gouging you. They're actually quite friendly about it. So I think it's nice to do that. The visa is super easy to do, but have money and do it early. You can wait to do it at the airport if you'd like to hang out extra at the airport because then you're stuck in a long line. So I would not recommend it. I did mine early and I breezed through in 5 minutes and it put me in a great mood just to start my trip. Like, whoop, super easy, avoided a line, did everything right, headed on out, grabbed my bag, and made a nice start to my journey in Nepal.
Yes, yes. And we'll talk you through all that kind of stuff, but do the work ahead. It'll be because the last thing you want after 24 hours plus of travel is more lines and more frustration. So,
Yeah.
okay. So let's talk about how to get on the trip. So, um, to get a spot on the trip, it's a $500 deposit, which is not refundable. And once you go through the Blue Side Adventures website and get into that trip, you're booked. You're set and you get access to all of the online things that I shared before, and we start planning your journey. So the remaining balance of the trip is required within 60 days before the start date. And the reason that I do that is because if you have any trip add-ons, you arrive early, you need an extra hotel day, you want to stay late, you want to add, different things. We put that into your final balance so that we're not continuously doing payments back and forth. So by 60 days, everything should be set and you're ready to go. That is the rest of the stuff is cancellations. If something happens, natural disasters, kind of stuff. I mean, it's just all the usual kind of jargon. So read through all of this to make sure that you're good with it before you sign up. But everything is very reasonable. And all of these terms and conditions are from my partners in Nepal also. So we both have agreed on what we think is fair for everybody. Visas and passports. So before you book this trip, check your passport because you need to have a validity of 6 months from the day you leave. So November 15th, you need 6 months after that to make sure that your passport is still valid. If not, they won't let you in Nepal and you won't be going on the trip. So make sure you check that. Flight delays and itinerary changes, it's unpredictable, a lot of it, especially mountain flying and mountain locations. So things may get changed around. Our flight from Lhasa back to Kathmandu may get messed up. Like just kind of know that we're flexible the entire time. That is really, then we talk about the required insurance. You can read through all of this. We go more in depth into it, like I said before. More personal privacy, security, all the things. So to join the team, you can download this document off of the website. But if you're watching here, you can do this QR scan, or you can click if you have this document downloaded and it'll take you right to the website to be able to join the team. So I'm going to pop over to YouTube real quick just to see if we do not have any questions going on. So I'm going to back out of this screen share. And yeah, a lot of info. I am running a special right now. So if you sign up before March 15th, $200 off of your final balance. So please spread the word on that and really look and jump on this trip. And yeah, I'm just super excited for this one because it's totally different from what we've done before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And an opportunity to go to Tibet, which is not something that's easy to do. So I'm excited that like all the logistics, all of those little paperworks that you wonder, did I do it right at the border, are taken care of and done correctly.
Exactly, exactly. So, all right, cool. Well, I don't see any questions on our chat, so we can wrap this up. But I'm so looking forward to having Team Tibet together and start our training and start our journey. And I know it's going to be November before we know it. So
Yep.
cool. All right, Autumn. Well,
All
thank
right,
you so much.
thank you.
Okay, well,